So I've got some good old-fashioned plumber's putty I'm going to stick down on here. I just want to make sure that not a whole lot of debris goes into the crankcase. That would be bad. Stick a little bit, but not tons. Stuff I've been doing has stuck too well. That's not been good. Thinking my kid's Play-Doh would actually work good for this too. Probably be cheaper. Very nice. Good. I'm going to take that piston off. Maybe just hit this with some degreaser. Also probably want to put the bolts back in there because those are probably through-hole bolts and I don't want anything down in there. Flywheel off. Ooh, the nut's a different size. I'll come back to this. Messing me all up on this. This is a 14 millimeter, I think. That came out a little too easy. Normally I just take this and I whack it with the hammer, but these things are kind of in my way. So, how do I hold them out of the way? Just took some solder, wrapped it around to hold the pawls back. Let's see if I can give this a whack. May have to use the air hammer. It's a possibility. There, goes. Air hammer and everything. Screwdriver did it. What a pain. There's actually a proper flywheel key on this one. Cool. I'm impressed. Time to go clean this up. So while I'm cleaning up the other section there, let's take the muffler off. Good. That's 10 millimeters. Of interesting note, this is loose, so not necessarily a good thing. It's got to be shined up a little bit. Hey. I don't know what's going on there, but that ain't right. What's that? Where did that come from? I guess from that. Right there. Pretty sure that's not supposed to be bent over like that. This was obviously wobbling around and working its way in there. Maybe that's what caused the exhaust leak, or the air leak. Maybe that's what's caused the scoring. Scoring's in that exact spot. That's kind of interesting, if not coincidental. Huh. Okay. I'm going to clean that up. We're going to get an exhaust gasket for that. So let's take this off. I guess I can't. It doesn't really want me to. Also because of the choke lever. But I guess I can't. I may throw a new stop switch in there. Because the other one doesn't look like it was working, and it looked like it was hooked up properly. So, new stop switch. Looks like there's a gasket there on the carburetor. There's the orientation on that. You can see that. Oh, looks like there's another piece here. Those are a little loose. There's another gasket there. Goes in like that. So now we should be able to take this, stick in the ultrasonic, clean it right up. Then we get to the fun part. It'll be a fun saw to run. I'm going to clean this, clean everything, order new parts, get the chassis decked, and then we'll start next by checking squish and all that stuff again, and do some part work, put the whole thing back together. Here's our 394 XP on the mill. I've got it indicated, and I wanted to make sure the base is level. So we're about 51 thousandths there on the indicating dial. And we're going to go this way, and we're going to make sure that we're level all the way over. So we're 51.5, so it's about 1,000th that way. And then we're going to go this way, move the mill over here, and check it for level that direction. About 51 thousandths. So that's as close as that gets for level, and now we're going to mill it. Ready to do some milling. Let's go. Gotta go over here, turn this on. Make sure there's nothing up there. That's out. That's loose. Ready to go. Start her up. I'm going to bring it down. Just until it touches. Actually, I'm going to lock it right there. I'm going to bring the whole table up now. There, touched. So now I'm going to zero. I'm going to zero the mill. Zeroed, locked. Let's move this off there. And I was going to go up 24 thousandths. Let's go up 23 just to be safe. I'm not touching. So that's 10, 20, 3 thousandths. I'll go back here. Line her up. Make the cut. I'm going to go real slow on this. I'm going to take my time, and since I am by myself tonight, I'm going to shut off the video until we're closer to being done. I'm just going to go real slow on this. We don't want any trouble. So we're just finishing up here. Pretty straightforward, actually. You just have to make darn sure that you get it all. Go back. That there's no edges. Yeah. If you leave an edge, that's it. at it. Make sure it's even all the way around. Looks nice, no edges.
How many thousandths did you take off?
About 23 thousandths. And the squish was 44, 45. I go down and I touch. 23 thousandths will be fine. All done here. So let's put a piston on this thing. Got a Meteor. Comes with caber rings. 394 piston. Brand new. Looks nice. Very nice. Remember, the arrow goes to the exhaust side. First thing that goes in is the needle bearing. Next, what we're going to want to do is put the caber rings in. A little bit of assembly lube. This is just regular 2-cycle oil. Look for the locating pins. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to put the cabers on yet. And well, maybe I'll put the upper one on, because it'll just be easier to get timing numbers without them. Just put the upper one on. Goes. Just goes in. Don't need to put the circlips on right now, and the reason is because I'm not going to be running it, and I'm going to need to I may need to disassemble this later. So, wrist pin goes in. I always like it when they slide nice and easy. Should slide in. Good. Now we're going to need a cylinder and a gasket. Brand new gasket set. Case gasket I'm not going to need, but these others I definitely do. Let's measure this just for giggles. So like I said, let's measure these. So here's the stock gasket. Now, of course, I did all the machining assuming these two were identical, or at least close to it. I'm going to guess this is about 17 thousandths. Let's see. 16 and a half. Pretty close, huh? So that's the stock gasket. Might still be good, but let's put new in. New gasket should be right on the money at 17. 19. So hopefully that squishes down a couple thou. So doesn't matter. Very safe. It'll be a tight enough squish to get good pop. Put this on here. Now we do a cylinder head. So let's put the cylinder head down just to check numbers. Looks like everything sits nicely. I'm going to take a couple of screws. Again, these are 3/16. Two are down. Let's check squish. I like to use the flywheel. That's right, I forgot. There is a flywheel key. So, you still press it up against it. Make sure there's no rub spots on the flywheel up against the cylinder. If you've dropped the cylinder, sometimes you get a rub spot. Does not look like there will be a rub spot. Get some solder. Check the squish. There we go. Right there we got 26 thousandths. I probably could have cut a little bit more off. At 24 thousandths, that's fine. I don't need it to be real tight. I'm actually pretty glad I didn't take tons off. That's not a problem. We'll get maybe another thousandth or two when we cinch it down tight. So now we check timing numbers. So I've got this balanced on both sides. 45 there. Come back around. 45 here. There we go. 46. That's 46 that side. That's 46 this side. So we have that balanced. As a double check, we can look and make sure the piston actually is at top to the center, which it is. Okay. Now we're going to check the timing numbers. Let's do exhaust first. Just seeing light somewhere about there. $90, 100, 1, 2, 3, maybe 104-ish. 103. Let's give it 103, which actually is a fine place to leave the exhaust here, although we can open it up just a hair more. Maybe go to 102. Does not need much. How about the intake? What are we doing in the intake here? Intake 73 or 4. 73. Intake is 73. Right about there. 90, 100, 110, 120, 122. 90, 100, 110, 120, 122. It really kind of leaves the numbers in a pretty good spot, I think. 90, 100, 110, 122. Yeah, I'm not so sure I really want to alter that very much, if at all. So I don't actually have to do that much porting to this guy. The blowdown's pretty tight right now at 19. I could drop the transfers a hair, but may not even need to. If I don't have to bring this into the office and do it, I won't. Gonna open up the exhaust a little bit, open up the intake, and then I think we'll have it. Very exciting. So I'm going to do a little grinding on the cylinder. Always have trouble filming this, but there's a lip on the lower transfer right here. I'm going to get rid of that. On the intake, I'm not going to do too much because the gasket is pretty much the same size and I don't really want to alter that much. But what I do want to do is I want to increase the intake timing a little bit. So the stock here is 73. If I hadn't lowered the case, it might be less than that, but or lowered the cylinder head. What I'm going to go for is somewhere around 76, 78 for intake timing. Let me grind a little bit on that. The exhaust is pretty good as is. I polished the cylinder, inside of the cylinder a little bit here. Maybe I do a little bit more, but the exhaust timing is pretty good. So I'm probably going to widen it a little bit and square it off, but other than that I don't want to do too much to it. And that's essentially that on this cylinder. One other thing I might want to do is, what I've done is I've kind of bolted this new stainless flange here, and I'm going to do a little bit of port matching here on the exhaust. So I want to make sure the exhaust is the same size of this stainless flange, and then I'll check the size of the exhaust gasket, and then I'll check the size of the muffler itself and make sure it's all the same size all the way through. I'm going to do the grinding and I'll catch up with you.